I appreciate, number one, just the community members for being here. The small business community is meant for allowing people to kind of collaborate and elevate, communicate, all the things, right? We want to have a conversation that just allows small business owners to empower each other and elevate each other. And that's what we do in the community on LinkedIn. And these meetups just allow dialogue and conversation and discovery. And I am so excited for you guys to join us today because we have Julie with StikNStuk. She has a fantastic story of what it means to really go against the grain and chase your passion. So she's going to share her story today and what led her in that direction. Before we get started, Julie, we're going to have the community members and myself kind of introduce themselves so that you know who's here to support you and they can feel, committed to as a community member as well. So I'll introduce myself first. My name is Adam Griggs. I am the co-founder of CLARAfi and I am your moderator today. And I will turn it over to Rachel if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Rachel McCool from GoDaddy. Really happy and excited to hear from Julie today. And also just thanks, Michelle and Chris, for joining. Michelle, it's really nice to see you, especially since we've been kind of chatting a little bit in the group. So welcome. These are really wonderful ways to connect people in the group and just hear stories. So really appreciative of always our guests and our amazing moderator, Adam Griggs.
Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate that. And Rachel and the GoDaddy team, they do such a great job of making sure that everybody feels heard and empowered. So thank you, Rachel, for being here. Chris, introduce yourself.
I'm Chris Costanis. I'm with Surf Financial Brokers. I'm based out of North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And I'm just here. I'm gonna mute myself in a minute just so you guys don't have to hear the laundry getting washed in the background.
You know what they say, don't air out your dirty laundry. All right, Chris, thanks for joining us. Michelle.
Yes, I'm Michelle Alexander. I'm a personal finance instructor who helps individuals live a better financial life by helping them plant their money trees. My teachings have helped clients and workshop attendees increase their credit scores, build savings, and pay off their debt as I teach from a personal space of experience and not just from textbook fact and figures. So for more information on how much, what, and where, visit agmfinancial.com.
Now that was an introduction. I love it. And I love the post today too, starting with your why. And it really aligns with our theme today. So Michelle, thanks for putting that in the group because Julie's the example of chasing your why. She comes from corporate law. She worked with SaaS companies, and then she had an engineering firm, I think. And then during the pandemic, she just chucked it all and chased her passion. So I'm excited to introduce Julie. Julie, give us a little bit of high-level background into who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing.
Sounds great. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. It's great to see all of you here. I'm so grateful to be here and have found this community. I can tell you a little bit about my path, how I got here to StikNStuk and to find this journey. I have a background in law, corporate law, international law. I've worked for SaaS companies, engineering. I've traveled a ton. I have small kids. I was recently divorced. I was working full time, got a puppy, thought I was living the dream that I thought I had created for what I thought I was supposed to be, not living particularly authentically. And I was burning out, trying to figure out how to be it all for everybody and myself, and really felt like that there was something missing. And so I've always had a creative streak. My passion is surfing. And so I wanted to figure out how I could live a life creating a business and a concept around my passions, and also community and giving back. Of a background in philanthropy and working for nonprofits. And so StikNStuk was born, and it really came out of my love of surfing, and surfing with friends in the water, and using self-expression, the idea of wetsuits being all black and a canvas for self-expression that hadn't been tapped into. And so we created this journey of figuring out how to have more self-expression in the ocean. And then with product development, figuring out that it's hard to create an adhesive that sticks to wetsuits that's eco-friendly. All our patch sticks are made out of recycled water bottles, which is super important to me to figure out how to not harm the earth, but help it in the process. And so we decided to take that concept, from, okay, the wetsuit is a canvas, but then thinking about the pandemic and what was going on in the world with social issues, and thinking about how patches have been used for self-expression since the 20s, and then taking that concept of like, oh, okay, we have a sticker and a patch, a sticker that looks like a patch, it's thick, it's made out of recycled water bottles, how can we use this to do good? And I've often thought that people want to do good, but they just don't know how. And so by creating StikNStuk, part of the ethos is helping people give an opportunity to make a difference. And that's by buying patch sticks that are made by female artists, by supporting the environment, by supporting community, by supporting passionate lifestyles and alternative lifestyles. And so that's how StikNStuk was born, and it's been an amazing journey and a huge learning curve coming from corporate law to putting a product to market, but I'm loving each part of the way. So yeah, that's a little bit about how StikNStuk got started.
I love it. Your background is one it's kind of exciting because it goes against the grain for somebody who picked a position in business that you were very, very good at, right? And something that you and I had talked on before was living authentically. And just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should do it. And I love that your mission is not just to live authentically for yourself, but it grew from that initial concept of creativity and being eco-friendly to really creating a community of your own. I mean, you're empowering other artists, women artists to really come out and have a voice and challenge the dialogue through art and something that's meaningful and impactful and eco-friendly. So I just love that. Tell us a little bit about how you went from starting the wetsuit business to the community and how that feels.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it started with community of surfing. So women surfers, it's been great to see how many more women there are in the ocean, and a real community that's been developing around it here in Santa Barbara. And then taking that concept of like, okay, if we have community, thinking about the artists that we work with, many of them are also surfers, but also live, potentially alternative lifestyles, and how that creates community. And then within the pandemic, thinking, okay, I work in my home and I have a print shop, and feeling kind of isolated as far as like a entrepreneur artist wanting to make a business out of art. And so creating that community. So I'm working on a meetup in Santa Barbara, but it would be fun if it, went global, about female entrepreneur artists, the artists that want to put their art and turn it into a business, so that we can, it's not for critiquing art, it's for sharing tools of success of how an artist, and my emphasis is on female artists, become successful, so that we can all support and uplift each other. Because I've learned a lot and had a lot of questions, and I couldn't have done this without some really great support from a lot of mentors. Including, I belong to a program here called Women's Economic Ventures, which helps supports women in small businesses, and they have been invaluable about creating a community, finding a network, also people to connect with. And same with this community. I've so enjoyed listening to all the speakers and taking gems back with me and applying them to my small business practice. And each time I've been to one, I've taken a gem and applied it literally that day or the next day, or started asking questions that help me in my journey and how to make StikNStuk a success. And I guess too, it's like what success means to different people, and learning that success isn't just about money. It's about money, community, authenticity, creativity. And when I'm in that space, I feel like I'm doing my best work. I'm a better person. I'm a better mom. I'm a better artist. I'm a better dog owner. I'm a better partner. And so it really what I'm seeing is just what a difference it had made on me as a person and how I interact with others too, living this way, authentically.
Love it. I love that you're taking the community aspect, especially here in our community and your own, and kind of collaborating and putting it together to enable your own success, but not just your own. You know, living authentically is something we all want to do. Really, we all need to do. Especially moving into the new normal, because it's just so overwhelming thinking about trying to survive and feeling detached or confused. So I love that you've built a brand of trust and excitement, and you did it through community and collaboration, because like you said, you've worked cross-functionally with so many companies before, but taking an idea to concept to product takes a lot of effort, and it can be very difficult and trying, and you could have failures. And the community you've built around you, they're going to allow you to see and hear things you never would have seen or heard before, that are going to empower you and uplift you. And I think it goes back a lot to the theme that we've had in the community. And again, back to Michelle's post this morning, you know, when you want to live authentically, especially in a community, and you're the one that's leading that community, there's a very big difference. And I think it was Simon Sinek said this, there's a very big difference than giving direction and giving directions, right? Directions are just, here's your little roadmap, follow it, A to B. Giving direction allows people to really see and start from a position of why and a position of authenticity, and allows you to really build into something. And I feel like that, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, Julie, I feel like that's one of the catalysts to your success, is people can just see the passion in what you're creating and the reasons why you're creating it, and they're taking hold and following suit. And that's amazing.
That has definitely been the feedback, that passion inspires and encourages others to want to participate and get involved, and that seeing how much I enjoy and how much I want to give back, and how much it's about creating something bigger than, you know, we make eco-friendly recycled stickers that are really beautiful and gorgeous, and they're fun and creative, and they're for passion. It's more than that. And I think that that's been the emphasis on StikNStuk as a brand and as a product, and then using that in whatever, and I'm not even sure yet, right? It's constantly evolving about what I can do with StikNStuk to help give back, and how I can help others or inspire, or maybe there's another partner that I can partner with and help them on their mission. We do a lot of work with nonprofits and their fundraising and awareness. And every time I meet someone, I can't figure out fast enough, wait, how can I help you? How can we collaborate and make this amazing? There's from women's self-defense to, the Bay Area Creative Foundation that does, works with art and young children, and amazing artists and musicians out of the Bay Area and their support, to, the Surf Happens Foundation, which gets kids in the water surfing that wouldn't normally have access to surfing. And they have a very passion around picking up trash. Every time you go to the beach, they have a high five program. So these are the kinds of things that inspire me each day. And then working with like-minded brands who also want to elevate themselves by being part of StikNStuk, and seeing how important it is that we have to do this together. We all have to work on this together. And that's kind of the thought of like big waves, small waves make big waves. We do one little thing, and then it ripples, and then it makes it bigger and bigger. And then soon enough, you have a bigger impact that you couldn't even have imagined, when you just made that first little wave. And so that's, what drives and inspires and motivates me, is that knowing what we're doing now is going to have huge impacts going forward.
I love it. And I love the theme that's following this. So thank you so much so far for just sharing how you've come to grow your business, and the catalyst that's really a perpetual growth cycle for yourself. Leading with contribution sounds like you're discovering more and more what's really inspiring you on this mission. And I just love that.
Yeah, it's definitely about community. Starting with community, which wasn't where I thought I would start. I thought it was about, just getting out there, but it really is relationships. yeah, it's really all about relationships. I think that's what we're all discovering in today's world, is how to connect with others and uplift and support so that we can support each other.
God, I'm gonna jump in, Julie. All of what you just said is just so inspiring, because one of the things, I work with so many small businesses, right, throughout the day. And I think that a lot of people, the passion piece, sometimes it's just not there. Maybe it was there originally when they started their business, but somehow they've lost their way, and that passion doesn't come through in their products or their services. And so therefore, their business may be hitting a wall, or it's just starting to decline. And I think it sounds really weird, but I watch Restaurant Impossible as a show, and there's so many cases of that where people are really passionate around their cooking, right? But they lose it over time trying to run a business, and just get caught up in that running of the business and forget about their passion. And then their customers pick up on that, right? Because it's kind of a negative vibe that comes off interacting and engaging with these business owners. And so I just love, like Michelle, your story, and I'm hoping that you and Adam can connect, Michelle, so that we can hear from you. But finding the passion, and it's infectious, right? In a really positive way, that people meet you and they're like, oh my God, I want to do something with you. And then for you to meet all of these people through other nonprofits, and like, how can you give back? That's so amazing. I just really love that. And especially with kids. I mean, that's, and you mentioned beach cleanup. I mean, that's, God, I live in San Francisco, and I see what our beach can be like sometimes. So it's just all really cool. And I say kudos to you. One question for you, though,
Yeah.
is you were in corporate for a long time. Like, do you still keep in touch with, some of the people you worked with? And, what do they say to you about what you've done?
Of course, of course, of course, I keep in touch with them. Some of my greatest friends, and I loved all the companies that I worked for over the years. Like, I worked with Citrix, and I worked with a local company in Boca. Amazing, and always amazing people. And so when I left, it was great. I had a wonderful call with the CEO of Invoca, and just talked about following my passion and my dreams, and it was a big leap. And my dear friend who I worked with in the legal department, as well, and nothing but encouragement and support. And they're some of my biggest supporters on LinkedIn, my biggest advisors. Obviously, my network, it's still my connection. The social media consultant I have today is through the marketing director of Invoca. So I think that's, you hit a good point in the sense of your community follows you everywhere. And if you maintain those relationships, then you can take them with you. And so it's been really positive. It's fun. They're excited. They want to see it successful. I like to pick their brains because they're not in the space. So it's fun to, say, okay, here's my product. What do you think? And they're like, yeah, okay, Brad, I get it. Or, okay, why would I want to buy this? Or, so they let me flush a few things out that I wouldn't have thought of, because they're in a different space. So yeah, I love my network. I love my friends. I love the people I've worked with. I feel super grateful to be able to say that. And I think GoDaddy too. I know Jonathan's not here, but I know you two have that similar experience of working with really amazing, talented, supportive people.
Yeah, it's really funny. I've been in corporate for a long time, and for me personally, like, it's super important to work with really good people who inspire me, and also get me and what I call my superpowers, right? And also understand the things that I'm not really good at, and don't make me really try to do that, because somebody else might be way better at doing that. And so that's really important to me. But but overall, like for me to actually work with really good customers, that tops like even the internal workings of a company. Although I have to say that like if I have a really good set of customers that I work with, but then the company is not supportive of the businesses or the customers, then that doesn't mesh with me either. So you know, it's a formula, right? That works for me and works for Jonathan. But the other thing I was going to tell you, I love that you tap into people that you used to work with, because we all have different lenses that we can bring to businesses. And I think sometimes if you just surround yourself with all like-minded people, then sometimes you might be missing something that would seem obvious to somebody else. So that's really cool that you're doing that and keeping in touch with everybody and just checking in on like, hey, this is, you know, I'm doing this. What do you think of this? And then also, I'm sure for them, it's probably like a wow, like this is so awesome. She's doing this. How can I think about doing something for myself in the future? And Michelle, I'm sure you probably get the very similar, you know, from some of your former colleagues.
Yeah. It's so true. I have a colleague that I worked with in Boca, and she, you know, I left and she just was so inspired. She's like, I wish I could do that. And I'm like, you can. And she did end up, you know, kind of pursuing her dream. And it was inspiring. She inspired me and I inspired her. And yeah, it is great to have that. So, yeah.
I love it. I love the conversation. And I love, number one, that we have Rachel and Jonathan in this community, because their availability and their perspective in running and building a community is fantastic. So Rachel, thank you for those comments, and just kudos to you guys, because you are building it the right way, which is just everybody engaging and leveraging on each other. And we're so much more than what we let on in our initial meetings, right? Everybody's got this initial impression, but we're icebergs. We can see so much, you know, of the surface. And Julie's experience, her community, you can tell that it's really allowed her to embody the authentic life and the passion that she wants to have. And I love that. And I love that that's the way you're building. You know, something you said earlier was that you find relationships very important. And having relationships is an art form. And I love that that's what your business is art, and it's relational art. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing that.
That's so great. It's so interesting that you say that, and I hadn't thought about relational art, and it is true, right? I listened to it really interesting on a side note of NPR. I listened to it, I love it. And yesterday there was a woman who was speaking about math and how the concept of math, and that math is really, people get, you know, kind of caught up in the numbers, but math isn't really about numbers. It's about relationships with numbers to other numbers. And I thought, wow, another way that relationships are so important is it's not only for art, for people, but math too. Just that it's just so important to be able to have community and connect and keep relationships. And I love this community too, and as well as that it's so inclusive and so positive and so available and so welcoming, which is not always the case. And so I just think that you all have done such a great job of making even someone like me as a newcomer who's just starting out, who's passionate and has a story, that I feel welcome so that I can be my authentic self. So I'm comfortable saying like, this is who I am and this is how it is. And this is a great like safe space to do that. And that's fostered by you and Rachel and Jonathan for sure.
Well, it's a little self-serving, to be honest. Your passion and your fire is a catalyst to so many of us. So we just love hearing those stories, because really it lights a fire and kindles what we need, which is the passion to really allow others to be elevated and communicate together authentically. And I love that. And I love that that's your share. I want to take some time to open it up to the other community members here, Chris and Michelle. Would you guys like to offer any comments or kudos to Julie and talk about her journey to jumping into a new business amongst the pandemic?
I really like the analogy about the ripples. You know, when you when you make any kind of impact, it just ripples out. There's my hand showing how much it ripples out. But I like that a lot. And that's true with everything. You know, it's not just business. Anything you do is going to have an impact. So good for you.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I want to piggyback off of that. It's the same thing. You can see the passion come from Julie about what she does. So that's what I like. And, you know, Rachel honed in on that a lot of times you get so caught up in the business part of it, you know, especially if things are not going exactly the way you want them to, you start grinding even harder. And that's not necessarily the way. You know, I had someone who was definitely trying to sell me and talk to me recently. And, you know, the way she was pushing, I was like, you know, maybe that's not what I need to do right now. Sometimes you have to be still.
Yes.
Sometimes you really have to be still. And that may be the space I need to be in today. And you have to try new things. I would have never thought about joining a community on LinkedIn. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go to a meeting. I've been to meetings. You got to go. But something told me to say yes. And I said, I'm going to learn to say yes some more. So I did. And I feel the same way, Julie. I enjoyed it. I've been here for 2 minutes and, you know, not literally, but yeah, 2 minutes. And I've enjoyed the back and forward with the post. I enjoyed this meeting today and hearing your story coming from corporate America and doing something you really love that helps the environment. Because I'm a recycle person. I recycle all the time. So I loved hearing what you said about let's get those bottles off the beaches. I can't swim, but I like to go to the beach.
That's great. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I love that. So appreciate your comments. So,
yeah, I got to tell you, this is, you know, for someone in the role that I play, which just to share with you guys, I've been doing community for 20 years. And if I did nothing else but like just help to connect people, and that would make my day, right? And so, and by the way, Jonathan started his vacation today, so that's why he's not with us. But he feels the same way. Like, you know, if we did nothing else but just like connected you guys and like helped you guys to feel inspired, and then honestly, like we get a high off it every week we join and we hear stories and stuff. We love it. So, you know, just keep diving into the community. Just, you know, we're having more and more people join, and, you know, people are sharing really good information and stuff. So, and by the way, we're monitoring it. So we're not letting people like flash up really, you know, cheesy kind of advertisement stuff. We really want content that's valuable, and you know, conversation that's valuable. So.
Yeah, which is fascinating to me to think about how you've been doing community for 20 years, how community has changed, and how I think it feels for me, I want community now more than I've ever wanted community before. And so I wonder with you how you've seen community change and with small businesses that you're working with, and if that's something that they're feeling too.
Yeah, it's really interesting just to share with you. And meeting is not about me, but I started in community at eBay, early eBay days. And eBay community was created not by the company. It was created by small businesses who were trying this new thing, this online selling thing, and really needed help to talk to each other because the technology really was pretty horrible at that point in time. And so it evolved from there. So in that sense, that's not changed, right? It's the collaboration, the relationship building, the networking, all of that important component. What has changed is the opportunity, the tools that are available for people to communicate, right? And I'm talking about online community, and then certainly offline community, I think has always been important and valuable to people, and depending on how if you're open to it, right? And you have to be open to community. Some people aren't. Some people don't really like to be with others and collaborate. But as a small business person, I'm sorry, even if you're super introverted, you got to collaborate and you got to network, because otherwise you're not going to be a successful business. So I think people always ask me like, hey, what is community for a company like yours? And I'm like, it's the same as in a lot of ways, all community is very similar. It's people coming together and sharing and getting to know each other, building relationships. And that's ultimately what's really important. So yeah, it's been really interesting to just be part of. The other thing that I'm personally excited about is that there's a lot more companies that embrace community for what it is, not trying to push it into some kind of weird like corporate, we're gonna build a community and we need it to be this way. It's like they're really moving in a much more positive direction around community. So I like that a lot.
Yep. And two things that struck me as you were saying, one is, and to piggyback off what Michelle was saying, is the yes. I say yes now a lot more than I did before. And you just say yes. And that's kind of a little bit like the small waves make big waves. The first yes turns into something, the next yes. And then you feel more comfortable with the next yes. And just building that confidence of yes in community so that you become available. And I think too, and maybe since the pandemic, or maybe we were kind of heading in this direction, it takes time to create community. Like Michelle said, you have to sit, you have to listen, you have to talk, you have to be aware. And I think we were moving so fast. I felt like people thought there wasn't time for community. I don't have time for you. I don't have time for this. I don't have time to develop these relationships. But we realized, wait, whoa, that's actually what we need to do first. And then things will build on top of those relationships by just taking an extra minute to hear a story or listen to what someone's got new going on or what's inspiring them, and realizing that that's what turns out to inspire me. So I have slowed down a lot and trying to be a little more present with the people and communities that I'm involved with.
I love the conversation. And just to kind of piggyback on all of that, I'm going to go back to your comment about math earlier, since I'm a little bit of a math nerd. Compound interest is a funny thing. When you first start out, it's pretty slow, but as it grows on itself, all the deposits you're making and leaving in there, it's growing. It's just like your community, right? It starts off small and it's compounding into bigger waves, just like you said. And I love that small waves make big waves with you, because that's exactly what that is. Even though math sounds like it's a dry subject, you're compounding your community. And one of my favorite quotes in the whole wide world is I can't do all of the good in the world, but the world needs all the good I can do, right? So don't overwhelm yourself, build authentically, and leverage your community, because your voice might inspire others to take up the torch. And you never know that your relationship is an art form, right? Just like you, Julie.
Yeah. And and that has definitely been the best and greatest lesson of starting StikNStuk, is that. So yeah, I love that compound interest. I mean, I love that we can take this idea of small waves make big waves and apply it across so many different art forms, right? In all of the business and all the things that we do, no matter what it is that you're passionate about or what small business that you have, the impact. That's great. I love that. Makes me want to save more money.
I love it.
I love the name, by the way, StikNStuk. That really is it's awesome.
Thank you. I know, and I want to hear your story too. I love that you kind of came into this meetup the same way I did and have embraced it. And clearly I can see that you also have similar passionate and personality too. So I hope you get a chance to share your story if we run out of time today, but it's great. And
but I agree with you. I do enjoy this. Whether it was you or Rachel who hit on a point about we're here to share, and you want to hear inspiring stories and not all the selling point. When I saw the rules of engagement on this platform in this community, as soon as I saw all of that, I said yes. That's when I said, let me say yes, because sometimes you just want to show up and hear. You don't want to be told to. I know you're great. I know you're passionate about what you do. I know you're the best, whatever it is that you do that's out there, because everyone considers themselves that expert. But some days as that business person, you just want to come and have that breath to hear someone may be going through the similar thing that you're going through. And if they share that story, you get inspiration to do something. Like you said, you've been on other meetings and you took gems away that helped you with your business. That person doesn't even know that they helped you, but they did. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to being a part of on any time that I can show up. And I think it's every Thursday. So I'm going to make sure that I'm on many. May not be every single one, but on many.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it's super interesting about what you do as well, and the way that you were describing what you do, and understanding that people have different relationships with money, talking about relationships, and that it seems that you need to understand your relationship with money before you can start planning or saving or creating as well. And I really got that from your description about what you do. I was like, oh, right, we have relationships with money too. So
it's funny. I just got off a meeting before this one, and that's what took me a minute to get around, and I had to find the link. I'm like, which post was that? So, and it's another person who's in the financial arena. We connected on LinkedIn as well, and we were having a conversation about how to collaborate. And you know, that's it in a nutshell. We can all talk about budgeting. We can all talk about discretionary income. We can all talk about that, but it really is how you relate to it, because a budget is a budget at the end of the day. But if you're gonna, you know, put it on paper or Excel and you don't follow it, you know, or you're the visual person, or you're the person who needs to read. If I get something I need to put together, I need the picture and the words. Some people can look at the picture and they can put anything together. That's never going to get together for me. Some people can just look at the words. I'll put it together, but it may not be right. But if I have the picture and the words, I guarantee you it'll come out okay. There shouldn't be any screws left out.
Actually, that's a perfect segue to, I was going to ask Julie if you would be willing to like put up a post over the next couple of days with like words to your pictures of like some of your designs and stuff. Would really love it if you would share that with the group as a kind of follow-up to this conversation.
Absolutely.
I'm going to have to drop you guys, but thank you so much. Excuse me, my voice is kind of going. Thank you just for sharing your true selves and, you know, sharing, you know, your vulnerabilities and all of that stuff. And I love it. So thank you.
Yeah, I know. I look forward to connecting with you again now that I know that community. It's just fun. I just like to hear stories about what you've been working on as well. So
yeah, if we haven't connected on LinkedIn, feel free to send me an invite.
I will. I think we are.
I think we are too, Julie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good. Thank you to everybody for jumping on today. Julie, thanks for sharing your story. And I love the conversation around community today. You know, connection through authenticity is very important. So definitely go check out the community. Follow Julie in LinkedIn. Check out her website. Is it StikNStuk.com?
Yep, StikNStuk.com. So
wonderful. Yeah, and like Michelle said, there are thousands of members of this community that are just watching and listening. So you are impacting more than you know. And thank you for leading by being an example, Julie, and to the community members today from California to Carolina. Thank you guys for participating, and have a fantastic weekend.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Julie. Bye.